Hello everyone and welcome to another video from Codechunk. So in this video I'm gonna dive right into Tailwind CSS, React.js, React Router DOM, and in the next session, which is the next video of this series, I'm gonna go through the Sanity in order to create a great blog application. Okay, so before we get started, don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to the channel, so there will be lots of great videos. Okay, so let's get started. The first step we need to do here is to create a basic React app, which as you can see here I've already done that, but you can go ahead and use this command npx create react app, and then you can specify the folder you want package manager to install that React application for you in. So that's the first step. It's so basic, and then after that you're gonna want to start coding with me. Okay, so do that and then come back in this video and let's start building a great looking application. All right, so as soon as you get ready your React application, let's go to src folder, and as you can see here you have a bunch of unused files. Okay, for example this app.test.js. okay, so let's go ahead and delete some of them, which are these 5 files. So in src we have now access to app.js, index.css, and finally index.js. okay, so what are we going to do here? First, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of strict mode, also web vitals. Then we're good to go inside index.js. The next thing, let's go to app.js. Here I'm going to get rid of these two. I'm going to import React from React because we need to use hooks in this file later, so we need to use React for them. And then let's get rid of all this stuff here. Let's get rid of this. Also, let's get rid of class names, and in here I'm going to say app main file. Okay, great. Also, let's turn it to a constant function. So I'm going to say const app is equal to a function, like so, and there we go. Now we can start building our application. Okay, but before that I want you guys to know something. Okay, there are some constant files, for example this constants.js, a bunch of objects and arrays and all that kind of stuff for testing, and this index.css, which contains the whole styles we're going to use in order to use Tailwind CSS. These are some basic steps to do. So for example, this is our body, margin 0, this is our font family, this is the URL which basically is going to bring that font into our application, and some basic styles. Okay, nothing to worry about. Okay, and these are some gradient backgrounds I've created before in order to save some time and focus on Tailwind CSS and React Router DOM. Okay, great. So let's make a copy out of index.css and paste it right away here. Okay, great. There we go. Now the next thing we want to do actually is to install some dependencies we may use during the development of our application. Okay, so let's go ahead and say npm install. And what are the things we're going to build here? First of all, we're going to install React Router DOM. Next thing is React-icons, React-google-login. Then we're going to use React.env. Then we're going to use sanity/client, and finally sanity/image URL. Okay, great. So let's press enter and wait till the app is ready and the dependencies are installed. During the installation, let's change this to hello world, familiar sentence you probably know as a programmer, and then let's use npm start in order to start our application. Okay, great. Okay, so as you can see here, we see this hello world, which means that our app is running perfectly. And if you take a look at package.json file, as you can see here, we have all of the dependencies we installed before: Sanity client, image URL, React DOM, React Google login, React router DOM, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so great. Now it's time to actually install Tailwind CSS on basically the React application. Okay, alright, so in order to do that, go to this link, which I will provide this link in the description below for you. You can go ahead and doing these steps, and then the app will be ready for you to start building along with Tailwind CSS. Alright, great. So we have done this before, this first step. We have our project ready, as you can see. So you need to go to your inside your client's directory, which contains the whole folders related to your React application, and then you need to install Tailwind CSS like so. Alright, so I'm going to make a copy out of this. Let's stop the application, clear our terminal, and then paste the command right away. It's not going to take some while. Actually, it's very short amount of time. Okay. After that, we have this command, which is going to initialize a Tailwind config file for us. So as you can see here, it's this right here. And after that, what we're going to do is to copy out this Tailwind config.js file here and paste it right away. Okay, great. The next step is to actually copy these things inside your index.css, but as you can see here, as you know, we have already done that. These are available in the GitHub gist that I'll provided for you. So the link to that GitHub gist is also going to be down there in the description below, so make sure to check it out and use this stuff. And then you can go ahead and use npm run start, which we are going to use npm start and basically run our application. Okay, great. Now let's get rid of these two and let's open it up inside Firefox. Okay, so let's go ahead and open localhost on port 3000. Let's wait for the application. Alright, so as you can see here, we have this hello world here, and now it's time to basically add some stuff using Tailwind CSS to this div. Okay, great. Now let's change this div to be an h1, and then in here, how can we actually start implementing our styles using Tailwind CSS? It's the best way I've ever seen to style some components. Okay, Tailwind is great, and you'll see why after the end of this video. Alright, great. So the way we can do this is using this class name keyword, and then we can use these keywords which Tailwind will recognize and start doing some stuff on our styles on it. Okay, so for example, I'm going to say text -3xl, which means make the text bigger. So let's copy this text -3xl, or simply write it here. And as you can see here, we get a bunch of things here. So it's not text dash. Alright, so let's say font size, and as you can see here, we can use text dash something. Okay, so text dash, for example, 14 pixels inside of a bracket. So we can use the sizing for everything inside Tailwind CSS like so, or we can go ahead and use default configuration. For example, you can say text-3xl, and that 3xl means something to the Tailwind CSS. Maybe it's 30 pixels, maybe it's 40 pixels, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so whenever you had a question or you had trouble with understanding the basics of Tailwind CSS, you can go ahead and search inside the tailwindcss.com, and here they provide you a great documentation. It's perfect, and I already read a lot of them. Okay, for example, we can use these backgrounds, you can use border radius, and this is how you're using it. So for example, let's say a rounded -sm, which means the border radius will be 0.125 rem. Okay, and all the default stuff you can use is right here with the size and with the properties of CSS. Okay, great. Now let's go ahead and start building out this beautiful application. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do here, as you know, we're going to use React Router DOM, and it's a great way to basically configure different routes and stuff and URLs inside a React application. So let's go back here and let's go to index.js, import something, browser router as router from React Router DOM. Oops. Here, let's make it router. And then inside here, I'm gonna wrap my app component inside this router. Okay, so we can use React Router DOM stuff. Okay, great. Now the next thing we want to do is to go to this app component. So one thing I basically forgot was to test the Tailwind CSS. So in order to test it, we can provide some default class names here, like text-3xl or underline, and let's check it out in the browser. And as you can see here, text is 3xl bigger and it's underlined, so it means that Tailwind is working great. Okay, perfect. And the next thing we're gonna do here inside src, I'm gonna create a constant folder, and inside of there I'm gonna provide a file which is constant.js. Okay, and in there what I'm going to do is to copy all of my constants right away, so we can get rid of this Google Chrome, and that's great. Okay, now let's get rid of actually GitHub gists and React Router, and as you can see here, we just need to work on Tailwind for now. Okay, great. So the next thing we're gonna do here is to actually define our routes. Okay, so inside of here I'm gonna use routes, which is a component provided for us by React Router DOM. So let's import it right away, or the way you can import things which are not imported already is you can use control space here, and as you can see here, you can click on this route and it will actually import it right away for us. Okay, great. Now inside of these routes, I'm gonna define every single route I need. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna provide a path for the first one, and that path is going to be default, and the element for that route is going to be home. Okay, great. And also a route is self-closing. So we're getting an error because first we not imported route, so control space route, great. And the next error is because we didn't define home component, which we will actually implement later on. Okay, so what I'm saying in this line of code here is that whenever the user is going to /default, provide the user the home component to see. Okay, great. The next route I'm gonna provide is a route of path / and the element, and the element I'm providing here for that is something actually interesting. Inside here, I'm going to provide something known as a navigate from, I'm going to give it a basically, oops, let's close it right away. Inside of here, I'm going to provide a from property, which is /to/default. Okay, great. Now, what am I saying here? I'm saying that whenever the user is going to /, for example, this address you're seeing here, redirect the user to /default. Okay, great. So this is how you redirect inside React using React Router DOM version 6. Okay, great. Let's close this tag. Okay, we're getting an error because navigate is not defined, so control space, React Router DOM. Great. The next thing we're going to do here is define another route. We're going to define /login, and the element we're providing here is login. Okay. And finally, the last thing we're providing here is another route for a path of /create, and the element we're providing here is create. Okay, great. Now we're good to go with implementing this stuff. Okay, so let's create a component folder, components, inside src, and in there I'm gonna create a home.jsx. I'm gonna use array of CE in order to create a functional component for us. Great. After that, I'm gonna create a login.jsx, again array of CE. There we go. And finally, we're gonna, I'm gonna create another file which is create.jsx, and inside of there, again array of CE, and there we go. Now let's create an index.js file in order to import this stuff more easily and in a more efficient way, which you will see inside app.js. Okay, so in here I'm going to say export default as home from /home. Okay, let's make 2 copies out of this. The next one is going to be login, and the last one is going to be create. Great. Now in here, let's import them right away. So I'm going to say import home create login from /components. Using this index.js, we can finally import this components right away from the components folder, instead of using default values, instead of importing them right away from their component themselves. Okay, great. Now let's go ahead and test out our application. As you can see here, I'm gonna go to /. I'll get redirected to /default, which is my home component. As you can see here, I go to /. From /, I get redirected to /default using this navigate, and whenever I get redirected to /default, I get the element home, which is showing just home for now. Okay. The next one is /login, and as you can see here, we get login, and for create, we get /create. Okay, great. Now let's go to login and start implementing our login page. Great. Alright, so inside login, as you can see here, we have just this login, but I'm gonna return a div and provide some class names for it. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna provide flex, then I'm gonna say xl : and in here I'm gonna say flex-row, and then flex-column. What does it mean? It means that on the extra large devices up to the biggest devices, be a row, and actually from the smallest devices up to the extra large, not including extra large actually, be flex dash column. Got it? Great. Now the next thing we're gonna do here is to say items.center, justify dash center. Then I'm gonna say gradient dash pg dash login, and then the width is going to be as big as the screen, and the height is going to be as big as the screen as well. Great. Now inside of that div, I'm gonna provide another div which is going to have a flex dash call. Then on extra large devices, I'm gonna say justify dash center, and on small, I'm gonna say justify dash end. Items dash center is the next property, is w dash 3 out of 6, which means takes the half of the screen. You can use 5 instead of this 6 or 4. And then after that, I'm going to say h dash full. Okay. Now, as you can see here, these are all the whole simple CSS classes and properties, but you can use them in a more simple way, and you can use it as it should be used. Okay, great. Now inside of this div, I'm going to provide an h1. In this h1, I'm going to say welcome to, and the class name for this welcome is going to be something like this. First of all, I'm going to say font dash bold. Then I'm going to say on extra large devices, text will be 9XL, which is so big. On small, it's going to be text dash 5XL. On extra large devices, I'm going to say max width will be 32 rem. And then after that, I'm going to say on large devices, W would be full. On LG devices, which stands for large devices, display would be flex. On large devices, flex would be row. On large devices, items dash center. On large devices, justify dash center. And finally, on extra large, it would be block these basically this h1. And on small devices, it would be hidden. Okay, so if you don't see this welcome to on small devices up to the large devices. Okay, great. Now inside of here, I am going to use a span, and that span is going to show us something, and that something is going to be blogify dot, which is a simple icon for this application actually. So in here, there are some class names as well as the previous components. I'm going to say text dash 5XL. I'm going to say font dash bold. I'm going to say text dash yellow. Then after that, let's say yellow 600. After that, I'm going to say underline. Then I'm going to say tracking on widest, which specifies the basically spaces between letters of this word we are using here. And then finally, on small devices, I'm going to provide a margin left, which is ML in Tailwind CSS -3. Okay, great. Now after this h1, let's check it out inside login. As you can see here, we have this great looking background with this text and basically icon, which I used span to create it. Okay, great. Now if I go ahead and resize this, as you can see here, we will not be able to see this blogify. Okay, great. Now we can see. Okay, great. Now the next thing we're gonna use here, let's expand it again, is after this h1, I'm gonna provide a paragraph, and then in there, let's first use class name, The class name for the paragraph will be max dash w32, and I'm going to say 32 rem. On top, get a margin of 8. After that, I'm going to say on extra large devices, text will be text-lg. Then I'm going to say on small devices, text-2xl. On small devices, text-center. And finally, on extra large devices, text would be on left. Okay, so what is this text? In here, I'm going to provide a text. Let's say Blogify is a blogging platform that allows you to create posts and share your knowledge with the whole coding gang. And alright, that's it. I think that's enough. So as you can see here, let's see my typos, blogging, and in here I'm going to say Blogify. Okay, great. And after this div, paragraph, and after this div also, let's provide something else. And that something else is going to be another div, which is going to have some class names. And the class names for this one is going to be flex-column. On extra large devices, justify would be center. On small devices, justify would be start. Then items, center, W3 out of 6 space, H-full, and margin top -8. Okay, great. Now inside of this div, I'm going to use Google login button. Okay, so I'm going to say Google login, and in there this is going to be a self-closing tag, and inside of there let's import it. Okay, so we don't have this let's say import Google login from React Google login. Let's see. Yep, we have it here. Okay, great. Now we're gonna provide some styles and some properties for Google login. Okay, so first of all, we have a client ID which will help us communicate to the Google and let the users log into our website using their Google account. Okay, so which is empty for now. We'll do all this stuff and send this stuff in the next session. Okay, then I'm gonna use a render prop. The render prop is having access to something known as render props. So in here, I'm going to say render props. Oops. And then I'm going to return a component right away, and that component is going to be a button, and that button is going to say login via Google, and the styles for that button are going to be like so. Type is going to be basically the properties, not the styles for now. And now the styles would be like so using this class name. So in here I am having W bracket 24 rem. Then inside of there I have H dash 6 rem. After that I'm going to use flex dash row, justify dash center, items dash center, text dash 3xl, text dash black. The background would be gray 300, and finally we have padding dash 2 and rounded dash full. Okay, great. Let's check out our login. As you can see here, we have this beautiful login button, and inside of there, before this login via Google, I'm going to use FC Google icon and give it a class name. The class name is going to be text-3xl and margin right -3. Okay, let's import it. So I'm gonna say import FC Google from React icons slash FC. Okay, let's check it out. As you can see here, we have this beautiful Google icon. Great. Now we're still in the Google login, don't forget that. Okay, so after this render props, we're gonna provide this Google login another thing, which actually is on success. As you can see here, this is on success, and in here we're gonna pass in a function which is login, and we pass this login as well as the unsuccess to onFailure, and this function is going to fire whenever the user could successfully log into our application or fail to successfully connect to our application using their Gmail. And finally, as you can see here, GitHub Copilot is going to respond to us right away. Yep, I'm using that. Cookie policy is going to single host origin. Okay, so now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and create this login function. In here, before return, I'm going to say const login, and login is going to be a function which is going to log the response for us from Google. Okay, so in here I'm gonna basically get a response, and in here I'm gonna logging it just for now. Okay, great. Now as you can see here, our app is ready, our login page, and we will be adding functionality to this button in the next sessions. And that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to create a great top bar and header and some components for our for our home component, which is provided for us on the default route. And then we will be using Sanity and Google in order to create a great looking blogging application. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. If you did, also make sure to subscribe to the channel, and as always, feel free to ask your questions in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video, and have a great night.